Alright, this is the final video in the series. My assessment of the rifle and the accessories. Okay, now this is for you folks out there, and like I said, I'm giving my honest opinion as to, if I own this, this would be my opinion for any improvements on the rifle and its attributes. But honestly, as far as the rifle itself goes, the design, the barrel, muzzle brake, the stock, the bolt, safety, excuse me, I think it, as I said, is an engineering masterpiece. Now, as a shooter, I'm going to come down here to the Bipod. Okay, Allied Precision Arms, APA. Now this has to be the most heavy-duty bipod I have ever used or I've seen in the rifles I've shot. I would be willing to bet you $100 if you could find a way to support this back piece and set this by itself, you could drop an engine block on this thing and I don't think it would phase it. Do I see any room for improvement? Playing with this, there is a locking nut, or a locking screw, bolt, cap screw, whatever you want to call it, right here. And you loosen this with an Allen wrench to adjust your cant, left or right, depending, so your rifle's level. Now this is for those at APA. What I would like to see using this would be, instead of this particular screw, I think you could use a bolt with the Allen insert, or the Allen hole in it, inside of an aluminum dial or aluminum knob. Okay, now this is just my personal preference, people. I'm giving my honest opinion on this. That way you could actually loosen it just a little and you could adjust it to where you want it, then tighten it down and then torque it down if you needed to. It would make the operation a little easier. Now again, this is all strictly my opinion, so take it for what it's worth. But as far as heavy duty goes, yeah. And looking at it, being you'd put the dial right here, okay, I don't really see you would have to redesign anything as far as the flanges, the legs, or anything like that. You would just have that knob here with the bolt on the inside of it. And then again, like I said, you could tighten it down by hand and then torque it down with an Allen wrench. So, now we're going to come over here to the Monopod. Now again, as I stated, this is my first time using something like this. I'm trying to get an angle so the lights. The operation of this, you have a locking ring here. It locks underneath. And push button adjustment. Sorry about that. And it locks into place. Now, being like I said, this was the first time I used this, and it probably just takes more practice on my part, but I'm giving my honest opinion or assessment of it. I think maybe the locking ring is a good idea. And I think what would be an upgrade on this particular item would be to use a flat side bolt, and I've come across them in construction and various equipment and stuff. And instead of the push button here, I think some sort of locking lever where you'd flip it up and you could adjust it to where you wanted and then push the lever down, which basically on the one side you'd have I want to call it like a half moon radius that would lock on the flat side of this bolt. But, you know, I mean, that's just something for engineers and designers to look at. You know, reviews are usually to give opinions, you know, people's opinions on possible ways to improve or upgrade certain items. Alright, now the recoil pad. As I stated in my review, this is a very comfortable recoil pad designed for the heavy calibers. The thing that makes this, I don't want to say difficult, but kind of, you know, an inconvenience to adjust is that we have the two screws. I think maybe try to look into something along the lines of would be like a release on the collapsible stocks, you know, where you could push it. There'd be like maybe holes in here or something, you know, to where you could push it and slide it to where you needed to. But, you know, again, this is a 50 caliber, so everything pretty much has to be designed as heavy duty. So, but I mean, it's just an interesting opinion, you know, and maybe something to look at. But as far as it being comfortable and doing its job, top notch, you know, grade A. It worked very nice. I just think the adjustment, being able to adjust it, needs to be looked at. So, okay, now we're going to come over here. Now, as I stated, you know, I particularly like a bit of a higher, you know, mounting base. Now, given the design, Armalite's design on this Optic base, as an option, you know, and I understand the cost of manufacturing, tooling, you know, how much of a market there actually is out there. And granted, like I said, these are 1.25 rings, you know, 1.25 from the top of the rail to the center of the optic. Okay, which for this particular gun and for my style of shooting is too low. Again, you know, not really the manufacturer's problem, but I think as an optional, as an option for the sight base, you know, I think Armalite could look into one that sets 1/4 inch higher. You know, just as an option. You know, it's something to have the designers look into. Now, the way this is set up, this cheek weld is as low as I can adjust it down. Any lower and you would run into problems with your bolt. So you really can't do much there. But it's just one option that I was looking at. And again, you know, it's, you know, kind of a personal preference, but I think maybe raising this up 1/4 inch would be an advantage, you know. But there again, you know, it's just an idea. Now on the trigger, this is going to be our final stop. It's down here on the trigger assembly and the grip. Now, for those of you out there that are like me that like the Hogue grip, Armalite does offer the Hogue grips, and actually they have one that has the Armalite symbol on it. So if you happen to like the Hogue grips, you could probably get them to put one on. I didn't mention in the previous videos though, this is a standard A2 grip. So for the most part, if you were to buy an AR-50, I love looking down this thing, and wanted to swap out the grip, you shouldn't have any problems. The trigger, I'm going to get this out of the way. Okay, there. That way we don't have any issues. The trigger being a single stage, you know, me personally, I'm used to the Armalite 2-stage triggers. So it took a bit of getting used to. Now, I don't know entirely if it would be possible to offer the AR-50 with a 2-stage match trigger. You know, personally, I like them because you can pull through your first stage and then you can back off if you want. You know, you can be absolutely sure on your shots, you know. And like I said, for me, being used to the 2-stage trigger and then going to a 1-stage trigger, I had a little bit of an adjustment to make as far as, you know, my shooting profile. So, just some options I thought I would throw out there. You know, as far as, you know, my assessment of things. Again, the overall performance of the AR-50 A1B is definitely a 5-star rated performance. It is a magnificent weapon and exciting to shoot, and it would be a pleasure to own such a magnificent piece of engineering. So, this is Ethron 1. As I always like to say, be safe, send it down range, and target on.